Representative Ilhan Omar was recently at an event for CARE. And CARE is an organization that was founded after 9/11 when it became clear that innocent Muslim Americans were being targeted and treated as second-class citizens because of that horrible terrorist attack that occurred. Now, she was speaking at the event, and the way that she referred to 9/11 upset members of the right wing. Now, I'm gonna have you guys watch it for yourselves, and then I'm gonna give you some of the comments coming from Fox, specifically from Brian Kilmeade. Take a look.
And here she is talking about how Muslims in this country are scrutinized these days, and then listen to how she described September the 11th.
Far too long, we have lived with the discomfort of being a second-class citizen. And frankly, I'm tired of it, and every single Muslim in this country should be tired of it. CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
If you just show me that clip and said, okay, what is Fox News going to go nuts over? I would have been like, I don't know. It didn't seem like she said anything wrong. She said something terrible happened, and then, but we didn't do it, and now we're being made to pay the price, but we're citizens like everybody else. I'm like, what's the objection about? Oh, she didn't say 9/11 in exactly the right words that we would have said it in.
Well, let's hear from Brian Kilmeade and his argument.
Really? There's so few people did something? You have to wonder if she's an American first. Dan Crenshaw tweeted this out. First member of Congress to ever describe terrorists who killed thousands of Americans on 9/11 as some people who did something, unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And can you imagine if she was representing your community?
No. What Kilmeade just said about her is 1,000 times worse than what she said. So first of all, let me just be super clear. She didn't say anything wrong. She didn't say like, oh, 9/11 was no big deal. I don't care about the people who were killed on it. She didn't say any of that. She said, she's probably described 9/11 as we all have 1,000 times in 1,000 different ways. In that one sentence, out of the 1,000 different times that she's talking about 9/11, she said some people did some things. I'm sure that in the past she said they did terrible things and it was these specific people. But like to take that and like make a giant national case out of it, you know what that is? That is attacking Ilhan Omar because of who she is. It doesn't matter. She could have said the sentence a different way. They still would have attacked her. And if they couldn't find something wrong in that sentence, they would have pretended there was something wrong in a different sentence.
Bingo, that's really what it is. They're reaching, they're looking for anything. And what Fox News and overall the right wing is unfortunately very good at is taking an innocent statement and twisting it over and over and over again to the point where people really genuinely start to believe that she minimized it, and she did not minimize it. First of all, she's speaking off the cuff, and you and I know from experience on a regular basis that if you're not incredibly careful and you don't word things exactly right and you don't include every single possible caveat, there are always people who are gonna intentionally, because they don't like you for whatever reason, misinterpret what you're saying and make it seem like you're saying something that you're not saying. And so when I listen to that statement of Ilhan Omar, again, speaking off the cuff, that the way she quickly went over 9/11 didn't offend me. I'm an American, it didn't offend me. You know why? Because every single time people mention 9/11, they don't have to go through a long thesis about how terrible it was. We all know it was terrible, and the whole point of her appearance there was to draw attention to a very real issue that we have in this country, and that is treating disenfranchised groups as second-class citizens, and Muslims happen to be treated as second-class citizens.
And then Kilmeade, in a great piece of irony, proves her right. Like the thesis of her speech, the whole point of her speech was, we're not second-class citizens. We're just as American as anyone else. And Brian Kilmeade comes in and goes, I don't know if she's really American first.
It's disgusting.
Okay, so how is that not a million times worse? You're questioning whether she's even an American. Why are you doing that? And obviously it's because she's Muslim and you decided to nitpick sentences because you wanted to attack her. You've been attacking her 24/7. She wears a hijab and you want to make her into a second-class citizen. By the way, that's also true of Dan Crenshaw, and that's also true of all the other right-wingers that are doing it.
You know what this is?
It's exhausting fighting back against non-stop propaganda.
Exactly.
And having to have these insane debates. She said some people did some things. Once out of the million times that 9/11 has been described, and there's nothing even wrong with the way that she said that. Oh my God, she's not even an American. You see this Muslim, not American. And then New York Post runs this giant cover where the planes hit the building and the building is on fire. And they say, here's your something. 2,977 people died by terrorism. This is a piece of trash. There's no journalist at New York Post. So Rupert Murdoch loses $50 million a year on New York Post to do propaganda, right-wing propaganda for his other business interests. By the way, Rupert Murdoch, piece of trash. So he goes around in polite society. He's the most bigoted guy that has ever been in American history in terms of the impact that he has had against Muslims, against blacks, against Latinos, the poison that he spreads on Fox News and the New York Post. And then they turn around and have the nerve to question whether Ilhan Omar is an American. I question whether you guys are Americans, because you apparently don't understand the whole point of this country, which is that we are all equal. Ilhan Omar is 100% American.
And one other thing I want to add about, what Kill Me, the New York Post, and the right wing overall is doing. Remember, just this week, someone got arrested because they were threatening specific threats of violence against Representative Omar, against her aides. A person got arrested for that. So while they might think it's cute to push this narrative to their political advantage, it has real consequences for people living in this country. It has consequences for her aides, it has consequences for her staff, it has consequences for her. It puts her in danger needlessly. And by the way, one other thing, what is this? What is this whole conversation about? It's about what the right wing pretends they don't want to engage in, identity politics. That's what we're not talking about policy here. They weren't talking about policy. We're talking about identity politics. So next time you hear a nonsensical argument about identity politics coming from a moron like Dave Rubin or Ben Shapiro, just understand that usually these conversations begin with the right wing.
And so I also blame Democrats and the media. So why? Well, we have this great disparity. So Donald Trump says, among the 1,000 outrageous and horrible things that he has said, that he wanted a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the country. Well, that's bigoted by definition, saying, I don't care if they're terrorists, they're not terrorists, they're radical, they're not radical, fundamentalists, not fundamentalists, I don't care. I want to ban all 1.6 billion of them. That's what he said on the campaign trail. Then he did a ban, and when he became president, said, oh, it's not the Muslim ban I was referring to on the campaign trail, wink, right? But whether the travel ban is a Muslim ban or not, clearly on the campaign trail, he declared that he is a bigot. He said, I'm going to ban all Muslims, all Muslims. There's no dispute about that. Did Brian Kilmeade go nuts over that? Did New York Post run giant headlines over that? Did Fox News talk about that? Is cable news still talking about that? No. Instead, what did we do? We're still having a conversation about Ilhan Omar, partly because the idiot Democrats who love to punch themselves in the face passed a resolution against Ilhan Omar, but not against Donald Trump. Not against his talk of total and complete shutdown of Muslims, not all the other horrific things he said, not when he said there was very fine people on the Nazi side in Charlottesville. No resolutions against that. Instead, they're like, all right, circular firing squad, all right, let's go get Ilhan Omar, and then that'll be perfect fodder for Fox News. Nancy Pelosi, well played. Another genius move by Democratic leaders. My bad, I questioned that she was a master legislator. But it turns out, Nancy, you got all of Fox News all riled up to hate on Ilhan Omar, one of the Democrats you're supposed to be representing. Masterful.
So let's end this story on a positive note, because in the past, there would be an apology tour, and Ilhan Omar is not part of that brand of the Democratic Party. She's a fighter.
Awesome,
and
fire.
she has responded to these attacks on Fox News and said the following: When you have people on Fox News that question whether I am actually American or I put America first, I expect my colleagues to also say that's not okay. They should condemn that and call that out. She continues to say, or when people call me a terrorist, or when people say that because I'm Muslim, I'm an immigrant. I'm a refugee, that I can't have any loyalty to our country. I took an oath to uphold the Constitution. I am as American as everyone else is.
Way more American than Brian Kilmeade, and certainly Rupert Murdoch. He should go back to Australia. Sorry, Australia, but that's where he came out of, and I'd like to have him go back down under to where he came from. And so, and it's not about geography though, and it's not about whether you got naturalized or not. It's about the fact that these guys don't believe in the idea of America, that we are all equal. And one more positive note, Rashida Tlaib that went on television, and she's a congresswoman. And normally Democrats, Fox News yelled at us, and they go hide in a corner. They sicken me. But Rashida Tlaib's like, not on our watch, okay? We're United States Congress people together, and we're gonna have each other's back. Ilhan Omar did nothing wrong, and I'm here to protect her. That's what I love. That's real unity, not the kind of fake unity that House Democratic leadership does.
And guess what? When you fight, you get results. And the result is Brian Kilmeade walking his comments back a little. He says, I didn't intend to question whether Representative Omar is an American. I am questioning how any American, let alone a United States Congresswoman, could downplay the 9/11 attacks, which she did not do.
But look at that, because finally there are some strong Democrats in the world. Now Fox News backpedaling. Okay, that's how it's supposed to be. If you fight for us, we'll have your back. But if you don't fight for us and you throw our own people under a bus, then we got no interest in you. Everyone that's in the Democratic Party should rally around Ilhan Omar and say, not on our watch.